Wow, that last Severance episode was really something else. The MDR team's retreat had some intense moments, and I'm still kind of processing it all.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a turning point in the season. So many big reveals that'll probably have some serious consequences moving forward.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's start with Irving, watching him get permanently dismissed.
Yeah.
After trying to, well,
Drown Helena.
Yeah, after he tried to drown Helena. It was heartbreaking. It's interesting, though, because even though the clues were there all along,
Right.
the writers did a really great job of getting us to connect with Irving's inner self, like all his confusion and fear leading up to that moment. It just made the twist so much more impactful.
It definitely did, and I think it really speaks to those bigger ethical questions that the show brings up about, I don't know, like the value of a severed life.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Lumon just seems to view the innies as totally disposable.
Oh, yeah.
But the show keeps making us question that,
Yeah, for sure.
And Irving's death is going to have a huge impact on the other innies, too.
Right.
They're left grieving someone who just vanished.
It's like, think back to season 1. Irving was so drawn to that idea of the eternal darkness. And it's like, in a way, being deactivated might actually be that peace he was longing for, even though it's such a tragic end for him.
It really is. It's one of those situations where there are no easy answers.
Right.
But it's interesting, while Irving's dealing with this really tragic situation, Mark and Helly's relationship is taking this totally different direction.
Fully.
It's like the show is exploring all these different experiences within Lumon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That intimate scene between Mark and Helly was such a stark contrast to Irving, like alone, wandering through the forest.
It was.
The visuals in those two scenes, running parallel to each other, it was powerful.
Really powerful storytelling.
Totally. You had those warm orange hues and this feeling of closeness with Mark and Helly, and then you cut to Irving, everything's cold and dark. It was like the perfect visual representation of their emotional states. You have connection and warmth on one hand, and then just complete isolation and despair on the other.
You're right. And the symbolism doesn't stop there.
No, I don't think it does.
Did you notice how the MDR team is all in black?
Uh-huh.
And then Milch and Miss Casey are wearing white?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
The biblical connection is kind of hard to miss.
Right.
White usually represents holiness and righteousness.
Yeah.
And then black is usually associated with sin and darkness.
So interesting how they did that.
It could be a way of showing us that the MDR team is still in this rebellious phase. They're searching for enlightenment.
Yeah.
While those in power at Lumon are still clinging to Keir Egan's teachings as, absolute truth.
It makes you think, like Helena's statement, I don't like who I am on the outside.
Yeah.
That's a big insight into her motivations, I think.
I think so, too.
It suggests she might feel this sense of emptiness, like the pressure of being an Egan.
It could be.
And maybe even a longing for that genuine connection that she sees between her innie and Mark.
Yeah.
It's like seeing her innie with Mark woke something up in her outie life.
Interesting.
So where does Helena go from here?
That's the big question.
She's been exposed to the innie's world, their feelings, everything they go through.
She asked.
Is this going to change how she interacts with them? Or is she going to go back to just towing the Lumon line?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's definitely the question that hangs over everything.
It is. She's formed a special bond with the MDR team, but she's also fiercely loyal to her family and their legacy.
Right.
It'll be really interesting to see how that internal conflict plays out.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's Mark. Don't forget about him. That brief vision he had of Miss Casey during that moment with Helly, that was chilling.
Yeah, that was a big red flag.
A reminder of how dangerous reintegration can be.
Definitely.
I think it shows that the lines between his innie and outie selves are starting to blur.
It seems like it.
And that could have some pretty unpredictable consequences.
Right.
We already saw what happened to PD.
Yeah, we really only saw the tip of the iceberg with reintegration.
Yeah.
And the ripple effects could be huge.
They could be.
It's kind of scary to think that Lumon could actually just erase an innie's existence, change their memories and leave no trace. I mean, what would that even mean for the MDR team and their fight against Severance?
And remember, Irving was dismissed.
Right.
For basically acting in self-defense. At least that's how he saw it.
Right.
I mean, he was trying to protect the Helly that he knew and loved.
The innies, they don't even have basic rights.
They don't.
And Lumon has all the control. But okay, let's shift gears for a sec. What do you think about the whole Woos Hollow thing?
Oh, man.
It was so weird. Corporate team building meets religious pilgrimage.
It was strange.
Yeah.
And even just the setting of the retreat, it plays a part too.
Yeah.
Like, we're so used to seeing those sterile Lumon offices.
Right.
So to see the characters outside, surrounded by nature,
It was different.
it felt, I don't know, freeing,
It did.
but also kind of unsettling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're getting this tiny glimpse of what they're missing out on.
Totally.
Fresh air,
Yeah.
the sky, feeling the grass. These are things their any selves have never even experienced.
It makes you wonder, what happens if or when the MDR team gets reintegrated?
What then?
Will they even appreciate the outside world?
I don't know.
Or will it be too much for them?
Right.
Imagine having to deal with two completely different sets of memories and experiences all at once.
It'd be like waking up in someone else's body and not even remembering how you got there.
This psychological impact of reintegration is something the show's really just starting to explore, you know?
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think it's going to have massive consequences,
Right.
not just for the characters, but for the story itself. I mean, we've already seen hints of it, right?
Yeah.
With Mark's visions of Mrs. Casey and what happened to Petey, Lumon is definitely playing with fire here.
They are.
And the fallout could be disastrous.
This episode has definitely raised the stakes. I'm so curious to see where they go from here.
Me too.
There are so many unanswered questions.
So many.
It really feels like anything could happen.
And this retreat, it's all designed to reinforce Lumon's hold, their narrative.
Oh, for sure.
Like, by taking the MDR team to Keir Egan's birthplace,
Right.
they're trying to create this sense of awe and loyalty,
Yeah.
but it feels like it's having the opposite effect.
I think you're right.
Instead of blindly accepting Lumon's ideology, they're starting to ask more questions,
They are.
challenging everything, and they're looking for answers outside Lumon's carefully constructed world.
I think so too.
Mm.
They're learning more about Keir Egan, about the beginning of Severance.
Right.
And they're starting to realize that something's not right.
It's like even the handbook.
It's like their Bible.
It is. It's treated like a sacred text.
It is.
But they're starting to question its authority, you know?
They are.
They're looking for hidden meanings.
It's as if they're developing their own belief system,
Yeah.
one that's based on their own experiences.
Right.
Critical thinking, not
Mhm.
blind faith in this corporation. And speaking of rebellion, can we talk about Dylan for a second?
Oh, yeah.
He's always been kind of a wild card,
He has.
but his defiance just keeps getting stronger.
That outburst at dinner,
Yeah,
that was a turning point.
it was.
He's not just going to follow orders anymore. He's actively searching for answers,
He is.
demanding respect for himself and for the other innies. I have a feeling Dylan is going to play a really important role in the fight against Lumon.
I think so too.
He's got that rebellious spirit,
He does.
and he's willing to break the rules, which is exactly what this whole revolution needs.
And he also has that unique connection to the outside world, through his Audi family.
Right.
That could be a huge asset to the MDR team. If you're enjoying unraveling all the mysteries of Severance with us, make sure you're watching the show on Prime Video.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you haven't started watching yet, what are you waiting for? Sign up for a free 30-day trial using the link down in the description. Get ready to have your mind blown.
This show makes you question everything about work, about identity, about what reality even is. And don't forget to leave a comment down below.
Yes.
We love hearing your thoughts, your theories, your reactions to what's happening on Severance, what stuck out to you, what are you hoping to see in the next episode?
Yeah, let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah. Each episode, there's a new twist. It's amazing how the writers do it.
Severance, it keeps you guessing, makes you rethink everything you thought you knew. This episode, the stakes are definitely higher. I can't wait to see what happens next. It just pulls you in, makes you think, even after the episode's over.
It mixes sci-fi, thriller, social commentary all together. It gets at those anxieties we all have about the future, work, technology, what it means to be human.
If you're looking for a show that challenges you, makes you think, Severance is it. You can stream it on Prime Video. And if you haven't signed up yet, there's a 30-day free trial. Links down below. Let us know what you think of the show in the comments. We want to hear your ideas, what you think will happen.
Thanks for joining us as we explored Severance. Keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep those innie selves searching for the truth.